Hi, today I'm on the outskirts of Buchan village and the plan is to walk down to an island that's on the coast here and do a camp on the top of there. I'm going to have to be a bit stealthy because I'm on quite a popular path. I think you can make that out behind me. Yeah, there you go. It's a very popular dog walking path, and there's also a road just over there. And some houses at the top of the hill, so I'm going to have to kind of keep it a bit on the stealthy side. I'm in an area very close to where I camped before. In fact, if I spin around the other way, you make out the hill behind me. Top of that hill is where I did the blast shelter camp, and it was actually up there I spotted this and I thought this would make an interesting camp because there's still a fair bit of history around here I've not even mentioned as well. So I'm going to head out to this island. An island that kind of isn't an island, but I'll explain a little bit more when we get there. But for now, I'm just going to try and walk along this path without slipping on the chuckies, and we'll get down to where the path gets a little bit more, how should we say, interesting. Because to get onto this island, I've got to walk across a narrow causeway, which will involve a little bit of climbing, I think. Although it's been, well, an awful long time since I've been here, so it might be completely different, but we'll find out in a minute. So I'll spin the camera around and we'll walk in. So behind me is the actual island that I'm going to get onto. I don't know if you can make that out. There we go. And I'm going to have to kind of go that way, and there's a little spit of land that joins it to the mainland. So technically it's not an island, but you'll see when we get on there, it pretty much is. There's not a lot separating it from the mainland. So I'm going to walk down a slightly sketchy path now, and we'll go across the little causeway that joins it, and I'll tell you a little bit about some of the history when we get there. So that's me down in the dip between the mainland, which is there, and the island, if you're going to call it that, that's there. And behind me is sea, and I'll spin round without falling down, and behind me on the other side is the sea there. So up there I've got to climb up. Let me show you. I've got to climb up the path and over the ramparts, and these edges along this shore side of the island are man-made. These ramparts make part of an ancient fort. So we're going to climb up over there and see if we can find somewhere to camp at the top. This is the island that isn't an island, and it's called Dundonny. And what we know about this place is that in the Iron Age, the edge facing the mainland was built into ramparts to create a narrow entrance point to, let's call it an island, to the island. Now, the seaward side over there is steep sheer cliffs. So the only way onto this place was over that narrow causeway. Now, we don't know if Iron Age people lived on the island or whether they just used it as a safe haven for, you know, in times of war. But those ramparts, they're still there. They're pretty much weathered down now, and we believe they were a lot taller back in the time when they were built. But nevertheless, you can still see them, and when the grass dies back in the winter, they're a lot more obvious. But at the moment, the long grass kind of makes them blend in a little bit. Now, around here, there's loads of history. Now, I did my camp in the blast hut on the top of the hill just over there, and actually that quarrying action came all the way down to the edge of the sea here, and just over there they were quarrying this side, and they didn't quarry on this island, but you may have seen me sitting on a big pile of granite blocks, and that's the bench that's on the island, and that was built by some of the convicts that were quarrying over there. Now, I can't find much information about it, and I don't know whether this was a voluntary thing or a punishment, but I would have thought carrying all of these granite blocks across that little narrow causeway was quite a challenge. Now, over there is the Buchan Lighthouse, and it was built in 1827 by Robert Stevenson, that of the famous Stevenson Lighthouse building families. Robert Stevenson was the uncle of Robert Louis Stevenson, the author, and the Stevensons, father and son, built numerous lighthouses around Scotland. This one is 130 feet, and it was one of the first ones they built. Now, slightly, if I move that way, slightly to the right of that is Buchan Villa, or Buchan Cottage, and that was built in 1840 by Lord Aberdeen. Now, Lord Aberdeen is the chap that had that tower built for him that I camped on the top of. He was Earl Marshal of Aberdeen, Lord Aberdeen, and he became the Prime Minister in Victoria's reign. So as you can see, loads of stuff around here. Now, I'm learning a few things about Dundonny that I didn't know, and what I've just found out is that there are midges here. So if anybody tells you you don't get midges on the east coast, the sea is there, and this island is hoaching with midges. So I am going to hope that when I look in my bag, I can find my head net, because I suspect when the sun starts going down, this is going to be a midgie infested place, but we can tough that out. So I am going to go and get a brew on, and I'll bring you back when I've got that. Now, the forecast for tonight is meant to be sunny, dry, clear skies, but yep, as per everything at the moment, forecast-wise, it's just started to rain. So rather than getting a brew on, I think I'm going to get my shelter up for the night, just so it's up. I reckon I've probably got about 3 hours of light left, but, you know, I think I need to get it up just in case the heavens open. Now, I haven't bought a tent. I bought a tarp and a bivvy bag with me, because I had a feeling that the surface of the island was going to be a little bit uneven, and yeah, that's an understatement. There's really deep tussock grass here, and I've kind of stamped down an area over there that might work, but I have a feeling I am going to be crawling with midges, because the grass is very long, and as soon as you step in the grass, you know, all the midges fly up in the air. But I haven't got a lot of choice. There are no areas. I've walked all the way around the island, and there's absolutely nowhere that isn't tussocky grass. So I'm just going to have to stomp this down a bit, put a ground sheet down, and my plan is I think I'm going to run a line over the top of here and do like a plough point. Now, I bought with me a sill tarp, ultra lightweight tarp, and it's not square, it's a rectangular, so I'll be doing a plough point, but it'll be a kind of asymmetrical plough point, if such a thing exists. I'm not sure if it's going to work, so I'm going to have a go. So I'll put the camera on time lapse and I'll show you what I get up to. Well, that didn't go quite as planned. My original plan of doing a plough point over the top, it didn't work, and the problem I've got is the tussocky grass. It's almost impossible to get a decent peg hold in it. I mean, you'd need pegs that are about 4 foot long to get through this stuff. It's really kind of loosely packed, and I couldn't get a ridgeline tension, so I decided then to try out a standard kind of basher style. Not a chance, using a stick at one end and coming over the top, and I've really struggled to get good peg hold. So what I've gone with is I've used the ground just in front of the the bench, the stone seat, for a number of reasons. One, because as I'm working in this long grass I've been setting up, it's just been absolutely clouds of midges, and I just don't think it's going to be very comfortable, where the grass in front of the seat doesn't seem to be anywhere near as bad. It's a lot shorter grass, and it's also a lot firmer, so I can get a peg in. So what I've done is, I'll show you there, is I've kind of made a very low lean-to. I'm going to bivvy bag underneath it, and that'll keep off any rain overnight, hopefully, and I can still use the bench on the other side. So yeah, it's not the best. It's certainly no demonstration of tarpology, and I've never professed to be anything other than a novice when it comes to using tarps. Although I've been using them most of my adult life, I'm still pretty rubbish at setting them up. Also, I probably bought the shortest pegs I own with me, the ones that came in the nature hike tents. They're tiny little things, and I must admit that was an error. Didn't realise I'd done that, because I really could have used some nice long pegs for this, but I don't think it'd have made a huge amount of difference. Now what I'm going to go and do, I'm going to go and see if I can find some rocks, particularly for the main line that goes over the top, and put some rocks on top of the peg if I can find some. But yeah, I don't hold up a great deal of hope of finding any loose rocks on top of here. So I'll go and give it a look, and I'll come back to you when I'm kind of putting my bedding out and getting a brew and maybe something to eat. So I'll go and do that. Well, time to get some food on. But before I do, I'd like to thank Callum from Canada, who bought me a case of noodles. I've bought them with me tonight. I've got to build up for them. They're the super spicy ones, so I shall be going into training, and when I'm ready I'll start eating the super hot ones that have been bought by subscribers. But once again, thank you Callum, really appreciate it. So tonight, good old standby shin noodles, and with them my protein of choice for tonight is, if I can find what I've done with it, there we go, good old fashioned Spam, little small can of Spam. So, and I'm using my Toaks titanium pot with a little what's it called, fire maple titanium stove, little gas stove. There we go, bang bang. This little thing here, you wouldn't believe there's a whole stove in there with just a tiny little bag. But yeah, that's my fire maple titanium. I think Alp Kit make a very similar one to it, and it's basically a knockoff of the very first pocket rockets before they put all the fancy piezo stuff on them. But it's basically what it is, just a copy of a pocket rocket. But I love it. I think it's a really useful little stove, weighs nothing, and I use them with these 100-gram gas canisters. I like the Coleman Extreme ones. They work better in the cold, and for some reason I just seem to think they work better all the time. So let's pick that up. So that'll be it. I was going to say I haven't bought a windshield with me. I have, so I shall grab that now while I remember. Don't think I need it, but I might use it as a chopping board. There we go. I did bring it with me. Last minute pack this camp was. I wasn't planning on coming, and it was a kind of last minute decision. I've had 3 failed camps recently, and it kind of disheartened me a little bit. They failed. One of them was because of the weather, and the weather has been a little bit unpredictable just recently. For the summer it's been bloody atrocious, but the other 2 were failed because of dirty campers who'd been to a historic site that I wanted to camp at. I got there and there was a lot of damage, and I just couldn't bring myself to be camping there. You know, I felt I would be complicit, so I tidied up some of the mess and I left, and I was furiously angry. In fact, I was that angry I forgot to turn the camera on, because it probably would have made good footage. But yeah, I was a bit hacked off, and I came back and I started to doubt whether me videoing myself camping at historic places was contributing towards this. But I gave myself a shake, and here I am, I'm out camping again. So anyway, I digress. So what I'm going to do, I'll get the water on. I won't make you watch me boil water, and when the water's boiling I'll bring you back. Okay, water's ready to go. Let's knock that off. Oh, where am I? There we go, turn that off. Lose the lid. Ooh, in fact, I'll show you where I am. So, spam's all kind of cut up into sort of hunks. We'll take the sachets out. Vegetables. See, I do eat vegetables. What's them in? And the soup base. Put that in, so we've got that like that. And then in with the noodles. Break them up a bit so they fit. Tip the rest of them in because we don't want to waste any. There we go. That all goes in the bin over here. As does that bit. Where'd that bit go? There it is. That's all the bin. So that's everything in there. And now, schoolboy error, didn't fold the handles out first, so they're going to be a bit warm. Yep, oh, they're warm, yeah. Oh, gosh, they're rather hot. Just over 300 mils of water. And there we go, so we'll put the lid on that. Give that a minute. And turns out I did need the windshield because although it doesn't feel like there's any wind at all, I think that the tarp is kind of funneling air around here. There's quite a draft, so yeah, glad I brought that with me. So I'll just tidy my stuff up. There we go. And I'll come back to you when that's had a time to infuse and soak and do all its Korean goodness. Okay, my dinner's ready, and for a change, I'm actually having a beer. Loch Lomond Brewery, Southern Summit, American Pale Ale. So, there we go. Nice Scottish beer. I'll have a quick try of that, if I don't end up wearing it. Yes, that'll do nicely. Citrusy. Yeah, that's nice, I like that. The sun is going down, it's about 9:30. Still light obviously, but it's cooling down, but the midges are starting to appear, so at any point I may well get my head net out and stick that on, but for now, obviously I want to fill my face with noodles, so I'm not wearing a head net. Oh, yeah, they're getting bad. But I won't subject you to me slurping these, because as ever, no one wants to see me eat noodles. So I'll come back when I've done them and I've had my beer. So I'll see you in a bit. Well, that's dinner done, and as ever, shin ramen, absolutely outstanding. Really love that stuff, brilliant taste. And star of the night really is the beer. Loch Lomond Brewery Southern Summit. Got a kind of taste of grapefruit about it, which, you know, grapefruit tasting beer sounds terrible, but it's actually really good. I'm still enjoying it. So what I'm amazed at about this evening is it's the stillest I've ever seen the sea. I don't think I can remember a time seeing the sea flat calm here. It's normally a boiling cauldron. In the winter, this is really rough all the time, the sea here, and it's normally windy. So I'm going to take the opportunity to walk down to the edge and show you the birds and the rocks and how still the sea is. So I will spin the camera around and I'll walk you to the edge of what I'm deciding to call the island. Okay, so that's it's about 10:30. It's still light. Sun's almost down. It's going a bit foggy out over the sea, which is kind of normal for here. Sort of gear rundown on the gear I'm using. British Army issue Gore-Tex bivvy bag. Fantastic bit of kit. Very roomy. Good for, you know, if you want to put your what you call it, sleep pad inside and all that. Like, I don't tend to do that, but loads of space if you wanted to. I've got a one Tigris one season quilt. It's the one I use when I'm hammock camping in the summer. So really lightweight thing, and it packs down into a tiny little ball. But you know, when you're wearing a bivvy bag, it traps a lot of heat anyway. So this is going to be more than enough for tonight. Underneath, Dutch Army foam roll mat. They're quite thick. I like them because I've had a lot of problems with air mattresses over the years, and if an air mattress goes down in the middle of the night for me, I wake up with a really bad back. I can't sleep with nothing underneath me, and the good thing about these things is they don't let you down. So I tend to use these, and weirdly they're also lighter. They're lighter than all those expensive air pads. So yeah, I've kind of got used to using one of these, and I find them comfortable. On the ground I've got my cheapy 2x2 tarp. Peg it out, and really all that does is it stops the kind of crawling bugs, or certainly it reduces the crawling bugs going all over you and waking up with a face full of them. I've got my Buchan just there. I've got a couple of blow up pillars, these Trekology things. Again, they're cheap and cheerful, they're light. I've actually got better quality camping pillows if I'm going slightly heavier weight. I've got a Van Gogh, what's it called, Shangri-La pillow, which is an amazing thing, but these will do at a push. And I can put my head on my Buchan if I'm not comfortable. My boots double up as a bedside table, so I've got essential snacks and my torch, my head torch, which is a Nightcore rechargeable thing. I've had that for years as well. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to sit and listen to the latest Rebus book on Audible, and I think what I'll do is I'll say good night and I'll see you in the morning. So unless something happens in the middle of the night, I'll see you in the morning. Ta-da. Well, good morning. That was a really good night. The wind got up a bit in the night, and the tarp was flapping a bit. I was wondering whether I might start losing pegs, but we're all still there. It stayed intact, and it was a nice night. A good comfy sleep, no rain, and the sun is now up. It's what, 5:15, 5:30, something like that. Let me have a check. 5:20, and I think I'm going to get up and have a brew and have a slow walk back, because yeah, it looks like a nice day out there. There we go. Sea's flat calm, and yeah, looks like a nice day. So time to get up, get a brew on, and get packed up. So I'll get back to you when I've done that. That's my coffee made. Get a brew before the walk out. The sun's now coming up over the horizon. I'll just, yeah, see, behind me. And looks like it's going to be a nice day. It's a bit blowy. Other than that, I think it's going to be a nice one. So I'm going to enjoy my coffee, have an oaty bar, and then pack up the last of my stuff and get walking home. And I think what I'll do is I'll do a wash up when I get home. Well, that's me back, and all in all, a pretty darn good camp. Weather was lovely, it didn't rain, and the threatened mid-apocalypse didn't happen, so all good. Not the easiest place to camp, but it took a bit of creative thinking on how I was going to set my tarp up, but once I got it sorted, it was all good. And it was nice to be out in the sun for once, and watching the sun go down, having a beer. So I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, give me a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, click the subscribe button. It all helps the channel get seen. So that all being said, until the next one, I'll say ta-ra. Ta-ra.